Good morning, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. I hope everybody's having a great day. I don't know if you realize I got my buddy Joe Boo in the house. He's here at the Red Brick House. Why? Because the Dallas Cowboys have their first preseason game. We talk about practice game, not a real game, but a practice game. But here's what you have to understand: our Cowboys are deep. We're not like some teams where they're playing a lot of guys that you've never heard of. We have a lot of great players, players that are on the bubble that have things to prove if they want to be a Dallas Cowboy. Guys like Semi Fioco, who it's time to put up, shut up, or get out. Because Jalen Tolbert has been playing really well as a bunch of the other wide receivers. And Semi is not a special teamer per se. He needs to show up. We have guys like Neville Gallimore. Neville Gallimore, the Canadian bulldozer who just a couple of years ago was penciled in as a starter till he dislocated his elbow. I remember seeing Neville Gallimore truck Mike Pouncey, and I believe that's one of the reasons why Mike Pouncey said, it's time for me to get up out this mother humper. So we have guys like that. We're going to see guys like Deron Bland. We're not going to see, CeeDee Lamb or Dak Prescott and those guys, and probably not our starting offensive line. So Cooper Rush will probably be running for his life. We probably won't see but a little taste, very little taste, of what the Cowboys are going to be doing with their offense. It's going to be very vanilla, but I am excited as can be. Now, last night was interesting because I decided to do something different. We all know that I am a Dak Prescott fan. Let's be clear here. Truth in advertising. I like Dak Prescott. I think he is a really good quarterback. I think he gets more criticism and hate than anybody else out there, but be that as it may, I am a Dak Prescott fan, and I will not apologize for that. I like the guy. I think he's great. So I decided to say, listen, if you are not a Dak Prescott fan and you have a solution, I'm tired of hearing Dak sucks, trade Dak. He's got no trade clause. Let's get real solutions, because what I really ultimately want, I think, is the same thing that ultimately you want as well, is to win a Super Bowl. That's what we all want. We all want a Super Bowl. I make no bones about it. With Dak, without Dak, I don't care. I just need one of those mother humpers. But the way I see it, Dak Prescott's your best option. So I opened it up, and we have people out there, oh, can I really speak my mind? Can I really speak? Yes. The dude literally came, delusional Dak fan, literally came on my live stream while I was plastering and working on my other channel. You really gonna not ban us for saying what we think? I said, listen, if you got a solution to make the Cowboys get over the hump of not being the Super Bowl since 1995, why would I ban it? A real solution. So he comes on the show, and that's all he said. You're gonna ban me. You're gonna ban me. You're gonna ban me. I said, listen, dude, you've been saying stupid shit about Dak Prescott for years. You're still here saying stupid shit about Dak Prescott. Your name is Delusional Dak Fan. And that's all you do is talk about Dak Prescott. So all I got, here's the solutions to everybody who's bitching about my quarterback, was we should have drafted Levis. I keep saying Levi. It's spelled like Levi, but it's Levis. Reason alone not to draft him. But be that as it may, draft Levis and let him sit behind Dak Prescott. That was one. Cooper Rush was 4-1, and in the 4 victories didn't throw any interceptions. That was 2. Other than that, I didn't get anything. That was it. That was it. So I've come to the conclusion that all some of the people want to do is they just want to bitch. I look at it like this, and maybe I'm wrong. I believe In the time that Dak Prescott has been the starting quarterback for the Cowboys, we have been 61-35. I believe we are 8-3 against the Eagles. I believe we're 9-2 against the Giants. I believe we're 9-2 against the Commanders. I know we have not won the Super Bowl. We've not been to the NFC Championship game. But I look at this and say, in 7 seasons, 4 of those we were in the playoffs. And we won 2 of those games. It's not perfect. It's not outstanding. But by comparison, when we had Tony Romo in his 13 years, we only went to the playoffs 4 times. I'm looking at this and saying, I'm not saying that Tony Romo's was a success. I'm not saying that Dak Prescott's time is a success yet. But I'm looking at this and saying, in the time since we were winning Super Bowls, this has been the actual best time that we've actually had on the field. Most success we've had on the field in the last 28 years. Playoffs, 4 out of 7 years. A couple of playoff wins. Back-to-back 12-win seasons. These are things we have not done, which is pointing the right direction, because you got to understand, we went ass up in the 80s and won in 15, and the new Cowboys had to build up. They had to start over. They didn't instantly draft Troy Aikman and boom, we were Super Bowl champions. It took years of building this roster. And I look at this and I say, you had the bad season the first year, Mike McCarthy, which was good, which brought in Micah Parsons, who's a game changer. You've been collecting talent on defense where you went from the worst defense that you've ever had to now possibly the best defense in football. Your offense kind of got old, but you're reloading, and you've got a quarterback who has been leading the league in points the last couple seasons. I will look at this and say, this isn't the time to blow it up. And when I hear people say, well, if it just had Justin Herbert. Well, you do know Justin Herbert, they blew a 27-point lead in the first half, right? And he's never won a playoff game. And he lost the one game he played against Dak, right? No, say, but Josh Allen. Well, you know, Josh Allen has been a Super Bowl favorite now. This is another year in a row that he is, and he hasn't been to the Super Bowl. And he turns over the ball a lot. Because that's the big knock. Well, Dak Prescott turns over the ball. Well, would you rather have Daniel Jones? Daniel Jones only had 5 interceptions by the way the talk heads are going. That's the quarterback the Cowboys should have. One that does turn over the ball. But he also only had 15 TD passes in 17 games. I've heard people say Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy G, who was traded to San Francisco. Did make a Super Bowl, but you realize he has 4 TD passes and 6 interceptions in his career in the playoffs. Was it Jimmy G the reason why they made the Super Bowl? Oh, he threw 2 interceptions in the second half that led to the loss, didn't he? Okay. So there is no perfect solution. And I know we could say, well, we should trade for Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers, I believe they only put up 10 points against the Lions at home at the end of the season. But people will make excuses. They'll say, oh, well, you know, Aaron had already checked out. Well, the year before, they were playing the San Francisco 49ers that we lost to at home. And people said, well, it was cold out. That's why they didn't win. But Green Bay's known for winning games in the cold. You remember the Ice Bowl? I had people say, well, Josh Allen, they can't run the ball. That's why Josh Allen has a lot of interceptions. I was like, they were 15th in running the football, but had the second highest per run average. Okay. So people will make excuses left and right for everybody, but not Dak. But that's cool. That's all right. Because the reality is there is no better option. You can try and draft somebody, but I look at the Cowboys situation of quarterbacks that they've wanted, like Johnny Manziel, Paxton Lynch, Connor Cook. You could be like Arizona, where they drafted Josh Rosen thinking that they made a great first-round pick, only to let him go after a year and then turn around and get Kyler Murray. And now on the verge of saying, after this season we're done, and he's probably not going to play half of it because of an ACL. It's hard to get a quarterback in the NFL. And when you get one, it's not necessarily the best idea to discard him. You could say, well, the Colts, they got Andrew Luck. We don't need Peyton Manning. Well, Peyton Manning went to another Super Bowl and won another Super Bowl. Andrew Luck, well, not so much. So we have the Zack Martin situation. They addressed it yesterday on Get Up. And let's see what Dan Graziano has to say about it. Now, I don't know who she is, but she's trying to take the Joy Taylor route of getting publicity by trashing Dak. But let's go. I love the red brick. You know I'm in love with this place, right?
They've got maybe the most significant situation of this entire preseason working with their star offensive guard, Zack Martin. What is the latest?
I think the Cowboys are going to hold firm. I don't get the sense that they're really eager to do an extension with Zack Martin. He's got 2 years left on his deal. He turns 33 in November. So he turns 35 in the first year of an extension if they give him one. There's not a lot of evidence to support the idea of someone playing at that high a level in their mid to late 30s at that position. I think they're going to play hardball with Zack Martin.
How would you describe, Harry, the significance of this holdout? It felt like, oh, we're going to get it worked out. I remember we had this conversation 3 weeks ago. Well, here we are 3 weeks later. They haven't, and both sides seem dug in. If this thing continues to bleed, if you will, how big a deal is it?
It's a huge deal. When you look at the opponents that the Dallas Cowboys played within their first 7 or 8 games of the year, you talk about elite defensive lines. You talk about Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams, Kayvon Thibodeau. You talk about Javon Hargrave with the San Francisco 49ers, Quinnen Williams and company with the Jets. There are multiple teams that they've played in which their defensive line is a key piece to their team's success. So when I look at it in those regards, Zack Martin has to be on that football field, because if I'm a defensive coordinator, I'm going to match my best player up with the weakest link. And the weakest link is going to be whoever's backing up Zack Martin.
Yeah, or in that
That's
case,
a true story.
playing in place of Zack Martin. I hear what you're saying. Cronin, what do you think?
I think that this is a situation that Jerry Jones doesn't want to play around with. This is supposed to be a team that is pushing the San Francisco 49ers, pushing the Philadelphia Eagles as the best in the NFC. Why would you toy around with a couple $1 million here or there? Go the Trey Hendrickson route that the Cincinnati Bengals did. I know that he's not heading into the same lame duck year with his contract in 2024, but you can you can split the difference. You can make him the highest paid interior offensive lineman. We know how difficult it is for quarterbacks to step up in the pocket when that interior pressure is coming through the line. And we've seen this happen before. Jerry Jones finally caving to Ezekiel Elliott after about 38 days, that Mexico stint back in 2019, and it happened also in the 90s with Emmitt Smith. So hopefully for their sake, it get worked out, and Dak Prescott would want him there.
Well, Emmitt Smith to me is the template for this. I know we're going a ways back here, but back in the day, and this was before the salary cap structure was what it is today, Emmitt held out 2 games into the season where they were the defending Super Bowl champs. The Cowboys struggled. Jerry caved. Back came Emmitt. They won the Super Bowl. That suggests that if Zack Martin's going to get what he wants, he may have to take this holdout into the season.
He may, and if that's the case, then they're at risk of, Harry pointed out that the opponents they face in September. That puts them at risk of
losing game checks, though.
In a situation where they're facing the defending NFC champions in their division. So, look, as of now, they seem to be in the position. We already made him the highest paid guard in the league one time. He is now heading into his mid-30s, right? Emmitt Smith was still at the very, very top and not close to the end when they did that. And same thing with Ezekiel Elliott a couple of years ago. So I think it's a little bit different situation. They're trying to get something done with CD Lamb and a couple of other deals they have to do. At this point, I'd be surprised if anything happens.
Well, no, but we understand. They're going to have to pay CD Lamb a bunch of money. They're going to have to pay Micah Parsons all the money in the world plus $10. but they need to get this done one way or another. They can't do any of the things they want to do this year without Zack Martin.
Well, the thing to me is that it can derail your season if you're the Dallas Cowboys from an offensive standpoint. You talk about a guy in Dak Prescott who needs his protection. You want him to cut down on the interceptions. Well, you know what helps that out? Having the start offensive lineman, the best player on offense there, to make sure he's not getting sacked or pressures in his face so he doesn't throw those interceptions. Also, if you want that run game to be valuable, I think Zack Martin is a big part of that as well, Brady.
I think I have the solution to this, CC. Tell me what you think of it.
Here we go.
I know you're going here.
They play the Jets week 2. I think they need to bring Zack Martin in leading into week 3. That's what I think. I think they need to see Quinnen Williams, as you described, destroy that interior offensive line in week 2. It's the Emmitt Smith model all over again. And then after the Jets dominates and Dak is sacked, I don't know, 11 times, and they have all the. Then they bring Zack Martin in. What do you think of the plan?
Well, what about if your Jets entertain the offer and they call down to Jerry World and say, hey, if you don't want Zack Martin, we're willing to trade for him. We know that Aaron Rodgers took this $35 million pay cut. See, I've made it. I've made you very happy this morning. Don't you like this idea?
Yes.
The Jets need.
Enough of that. All right, good people. We'll be here live streaming 5 o'clock for the Cowboys game. Be sure to tune in. We'll be here at the Red Brick House, and I'll see you then. Peace.